The chart that we have now is a result of our previous actions. So we create our own chart and we want to know how. In one of my previous videos, I just explained the way how we create every other house, how these karmic things are interconnected. But now I would like to emphasize, how do we create our first house? How do we get our ascendant? Why did we get the ascendant we have? We may be very happy with the one we have, or maybe we are not, but anyhow, we got it, we have it. What is the way to get it? As I explained in that video about how we create karma, there is a wheel of karma, and anything we do nowadays toward our second house is going to be our first house in the next life, so it's going to reflect that. The way how we got our first house now, our ascendant now, is the way how we attached to the things in a previous life. Always our first house is the result of our attachment. We attach to many people, to many things, to many other things around us, believing that they are something else, that they are not us. And this is how we actually create that karma and the wheel of karma to turn, to go all the time. Let's think about if we get a very positive ascendant, very good one, we are very happy, meaning we have a benefics in the first house and the ruler of the ascendant is strong. What kind of karma caused that? It is always as a result of our positive attachment and meaning. I knew in my previous life what I want, and if I know what I want, that's something that I direct my energy to. If I really focus my attention to all this positive thinking, and the positive thinking is I know what I want, and finally, I am not aware of what I do not want. I just know what I want. So then you get the best positive way of your ascendant, whatever it is. If on the contrary, in your life, you know more what you don't want, you really know what you do not want, then you are attaching your energy to that part, to that quality, and of course you will get it. You just say what you do not want, and you get that. You say what you want, you get that. And in any lives, you have, people who have like maybe 60% they know what they want, but 40% they know what they do not want. So they get both of them. And that's why the ascendant and the ruler of ascendant is like a half-half. You have something good coming out from it and some things are not so good. And in some cases, it's really like you got the ascendant, you are not happy with that. Everything is weak around that. Very weak ruler of the ascendant and all the other factors. The way how you created that is you actually put a lot of attention to things that you actually do not like or you do not want. So it's very important that we know how we deal with our energy, because anyway, we do attach. And we attach ourselves with the attention going toward this or toward that. Let's check what do we have actually with the 12 signs, 12 ascendants. How do we get each of them? How do we get the Aries, the first one? So Aries ascendant is always a result of attachment to someone who is a leader, or it might be positive or negative. So we would attach ourselves to these kind of people. We follow them. We are followers of a great leader. We like them. We want them. And this is kind of a positive way. So you get, in that case, if you like that leader, you follow that, you're totally for it, yes, you attach yourself to a very positive Aries quality, which eventually you will become. You get that quality. Meaning, Mars, as the ruler of the first house in that case, is going to be strong. You will be like a really good Aries. You shape yourself according to what you attach yourself in the previous life. But there might be a different thing. So there might be a leader, you would have to follow that, but you didn't like that person. You didn't like those leaders. You were so much against them. You said, oh, I don't like them very much. And then you got the Aries, but the one that you do not like oh yeah, you got the Aries, but Mars is very weak, or you have some other issues with that depending on, the karma story. It might be positive or negative, including all the planets that you may have in the first house. They are adding certain qualities to it. This is the Aries. So it is the result of following the leader. What is the result of Taurus rising? So if you're Taurus rising, so you were very much attaching yourself toward the sensual reality. So your senses were so important. So, what you actually, how much do you enjoy in anything, in food, in the taste, or something else, like in any material value? How do you actually enjoy these things? It's very the way how we enjoy. And if you knew how to enjoy, you were very happy with that. And now you got a Taurus person who is very happy with the beautiful Venus and very sensual one. So this is kind of a quality we got. But it might be a different, have strong desires to something, but never were able to reach that easily. So you maybe fight for that. And then you get a Taurus, but then, Venus is not strong, Mars is prevailing, maybe you have Mars in Taurus in the first house or something else. So then you got a quite different story. So it's also kind of a karma of attachment to certain sensual values, like whatever it might be, the way how you enjoy the life, but in a way that it was not easy, but rather negative kind of attachment toward that. If you're Gemini rising, how was that? I believe that I am what I think I am. So I'm basically thinking about many things. So my mental process was so important. So it's usually for the people who would be very much in their head, they would be maybe studying something or doing something. So it might be very positive. They might got it just because the thinking process was crucially important for them. They would live in their world of their books, in their libraries or something. So that was the most important part for them. So those kind of thinking, and if it was very positive, they would become great Gemini people with a great ascendant. They would be just thinking about different things and getting all these qualities. Now they can become scientists or like this, but there are also other kind of Geminis. They would be very much attached to the words, but being like sarcastic or negative or challenging. And nowadays they get the Gemini who is a tricky one. If you are attached to how to trick something, someone or something, then you got those kind of people again. So it might be positive or negative, but either way, we attach to that, and that's how we got it. If you are Cancer rising, so we are attached to feelings of belonging to this family or to something. So it's like, oh, I really belong to that. This is my part, and I'm attached to my feelings. So I feel, so I am. So this would be the way of previous lives. With the feelings, it's very kind of very sensitive, very special, because you need to learn how to make a balance, because emotions are very changeable. So you just need to check, how do you get it? But if you were able to live in that world of feelings, in that world of very subtle reality all that life, and be stable, so that's a great quality. And then the person is capable of being grateful and having that peace in itself and like this. And then we get that kind of personality now. If the person was attached to its own feelings, but it was not really very happy, but rather than, challenging or something, or was not happy about the place the person lived or something, so then the person gets that again. So it all depends on the quality. So we need to check the first house and the moon and to see how these things are related. And very often Cancer rising has its own story with the family and with the mother especially. So it is more like connecting to that. So it comes to this area in order to make a balance with that. Leo rising is the one who was attached to a very powerful person. So it's like a positive Leo rising person. In previous life, there was the one who was attached to the power. Either it was a person on a high position or in a high society, but this is like the power, feeling about it. And if you were able to feel positively about it, then you get great Leo. So depending on the quality of that, the sun might be working for you well, or not. On the contrary, you might got Leo rising just because you did not like someone who was on power. You really hated the person. You were so much against that and like this. Then you again get that. You are attached to it. But then you have certain challenges, the way how you put them there. Again, this is the story of how we attached. What quality of that? What kind of attachment we got with this? And usually Leo rising have some kind of a karmic connection with the father. So both of them, like Cancer rising or Leo rising, are very important for a family relation, we can say. They come both from our parents' sides. And if you have a Virgo rising, what kind of karma was that? So that was the karma of attachment to the work. You were working. Your work was the most important thing, but in what way? Maybe you were really dedicated to what you were doing. That was your thing. You would work every single day and just thinking about your job and all this. And then you got the one who knows how to serve. And nowadays you got a great Virgo who is capable of doing things nicely and has its own energy. There are some people who are not like that. They would attach to maybe their work, but on a negative way. Especially if you have people who would be very demanding to the others who are working for them. Then they are developing nowadays Virgo who has some issues with itself. So it may be health issues, in some other cases it might be different kind of problems. If there was a person who was criticizing others all the time, so it was very important to them to say every single thing what they think is right. So nowadays they actually get that issue in their life. It's not only that they're gonna be criticized, but they have that heavy burden coming to them from their past. It's not easy for them to make a good relationships and like that, so depending on the quality of it again. If we have a Libra rising is earned through attachment to another person that we had, our partner, very usually. So it's like, oh, that's a partner's karma. So we attach ourselves to that, positively or negatively. Negative way means we were attached to the person, but then something happened, whatever. Some kind of problem, and we were so much attached to that negative emotion, negative feeling, and now we got that. Sometimes we do not like that person. We used to love that person, but after some time we started to hate that person. So again, that's what we get. That's the karma of attachment in a relationship. In case it is very positively developed Libra, we have Libra who is nice Venus, it works well, first house is great. So it is typically a gift from a previous life that we earned through a certain relationship that was very beautiful, very nice. And then in this life, present one, we have a great opportunity to activate that. And if a Libra person can realize that the partner of her is actually a mirror of herself from some other life, in that case, you will activate soulmate relationship. With the Libra, we have a very special kind of karma developed through relationships, and through this relationship we actually evolve. That's a very important one. How did we earn a Scorpio? Well, a Scorpio, as you can guess, is attached to wars very often through many challenging emotions, especially because both Venus and Moon are weak in that sign. So it can be Scorpio rising is sometimes earned through very negative emotions if Moon and the Venus are both in challenging signs or aspects or whatever. It might be that we attach ourselves to certain intensity. It is intensive kind of signs. So we were very deep attached to our research, to whatever we do very deep ways. Then we get that deep kind of personality in this life. The Scorpio who knows how to use that energy to research, to be good, to be positive, without creating issues on emotional level. So it is possible, but very often it can be a sign that is earned through the hate kind of feelings and the negative feelings, and then person get that. So depending where we are with this, we need to check that out. Sagittarius rising is got through the attachment of some spiritual beliefs. We believe we are something. We are really connected to that religion or something, whatever it was, some kind of higher knowledge or some kind of a higher purpose. People who would have that higher vision would connect with this. So we need to check the first house and the Jupiter. If they are good generally, yes, that's a positive one. If we have different issues with either first house or Jupiter, we can see that the person was attached to kind of philosophy that was negative in a way how the person would perform. Like, let's say, person would say, oh, in order to get that higher quality of spirituality, of life, we need to do certain negative things, or we need to fight against that because this is not right. You have people who would be against the law in a previous life, who were really hating that thing. They would say, no, it is not right. And starting to believe, like really deeply into it, can make them earn Sag rising next time with a very challenging qualities of it. Whatever we believe, it is our reality. That's what we get. And the way how we attach to that is actually the result that we have. Capricorn risings, these are people who were attached to their career in the previous life, or to the people who are in a certain hierarchy of influence. So people who are in a high position, they would be really connected to them, or it's very ambitious kind of attachment. So they would do anything to achieve that. Of course, depending on the quality of Saturn, we can see whether the person was negative toward this. The person was feeling in the previous life, these things that are happening to me is not my responsibility. It is responsibility of someone else. And then the person would blame other people about that and like this. So then you got that. All that you blamed, everything else, you become attached to it. Because this is kind of energy you put there. So one way, it might be a positive way of responsibility that we would take. Another way would be negative one. So how do we accept the responsibility and maybe become even ambitious and develop our career, and we develop that, and then in this life we really get something that we already developed and we continue, or we got negative approach to it. With Aquarius rising, we would attach ourselves to freedom in a previous life. This is the most important thing, to be free. And in this life, we get that freedom. But depending on the way how we did it, it could be in a very positive way. Like we really wanted to be so true, so honest, so unique in what we do. And we were very brave in expressing that. So in this life, we would actually get what we were attaching to. So we would attach ourselves to that. So if we believe this is important, yes, that's something that we get and we become that. Depending on the quality of Aquarius we have now, we can see what the action was in the previous life. For example, some Aquarians have some problems with the first house or the Uranus or Saturn, and then they experience different kind of issues in the present life. So the result is that they would actually attaching to Aquarius more in a negative way to it. Like, let's make a revolution toward those people. They are not right. We should take them out and like this. So like you're fighting for freedom, but at the same time you are putting other people out of freedom or doing something like this. So then it makes you become like this. How we actually perceive, on which level in our self we perceive the quality of freedom. This is the question, and this is how we get that. This is how we built our Aquarius. And the same thing is with the Pisces. So what do we have with Pisces? What kind of karma? That was attachment to the spiritual world. We attach ourselves to something which is invisible, to that invisible world. And if we are pure in that, if we are very positive to what we do, if we really are very positive in going into that invisible world, and we want that, we are focused, that's what we get. And now we get really the result of our spiritual aims that we had in previous life. That can be one great thing, but at the same time, very sensitive sign, and it can be easily disturbed. So it all depends on the very subtle things. How did we do that? Maybe in a previous life we attach ourselves to these invisible things, but maybe there was a fear. Maybe we were very superstitious in a previous life and attached to ourselves to so many different things. We thought those invisible things are so important to us. They will help us a lot. And then we develop that kind of personality, which is Pisces now, which does not have a lot of self-confidence or other things. In the third case scenario, it might be a person who was attached to some alcohol or to some kind of narcotics or something. You attach yourself, you believe into another world. When you take it, you will feel great and like this. Again, you get that on a very negative way, depending how you attach yourself toward certain sign, toward certain quality in life. This is how we get that ascendant. It can be very supporting to us as a result of what we want, or we can get the ascendant as a result of what we do not want. And if you clearly know what you do not want, this is the way how you get the ascendant that you actually made out of it. But it is very important, even in this life, that we put our attention toward the things that we want, and only toward that, whatever it is. Because this is the most important energy that will create the first house in the next incarnation, and from the first house we get the entire chart.